This is the Spurs POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the San Antonio Spurs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, we knew at one point age was going to catch up to the Spurs, or lack thereof. And tonight in Cleveland, it happened about as loud a fashion you could possibly have. Welcome into the Spurs Postcast right here on Locked On Spurs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network in all of the land. Not your Silver and Blacks night tonight. They go down big in Cleveland, 130-117 in the second of at least this 4-game road trip tonight to Donovan Mitchell and the Cleveland Cavaliers. He, of course, is NBA champion Devin Brown. I'm merely Casey Viera on an evening, my friend, that started off really good, really good, and then another adjustment or lack thereof at half that dooms them the rest of the way. And as a result, tonight we're talking about the defeat.
Yeah, absolutely. 35 points in the first. Couldn't ask for anything more than that on the road. And then it went downhill, Casey, after that. But yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's break the bad news.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Oh, first half couldn't have gone any better.
Right.
Really, as a whole, it was fantastic. Now, the Spurs were coming into this, of course, without Luke Kornet, taking on a Cavaliers team that has been all banged up through the duration of the season. Tonight, no Darius Garland, Jared Allen. They've lost 4 of their last 5. So it was a situation where Cleveland needed a win tonight. They really did. They needed a win. And they did not play the part of that in the first half because the Spurs lit them up, hit 11 of their 24 threes, scored 72 in the first half, spearheaded by Devin Vassell, who puts up 25 points and 7 threes. That's ties the Spurs record for the most threes in a first half or in a half. Second half is where things change for the worse because Cleveland catches fire. They make the adjustments that they need to. They put up 44 points in the third quarter, and they boat race them the rest of the way, go by as many as 20. And for the most part, the Spurs just had a couple flurries here and there, but they just couldn't really get out of their own way in that second half, ultimately resulting in a 130-117 defeat tonight. A high man for the Spurs, Vassell. He had 28. De'Aaron Fox, 25, 5, and 9. Keldon, 14 and 7. Dylan Harper, we're going to hit on that in a little bit more in a minute. He did struggle tonight, his worst game as a pro. 3 points, 4 boards, 6 assists, 1 of 11 from the field. The big numbers, they give up 80 points in the paint. Devin, you knew that was kind of going to be a hard task to stop a Cleveland team in the paint that loves doing that without Luke Kornet. And that was the story tonight and why, again, we're talking about a loss.
Yeah, so obviously Cleveland, they were very smart about what they did, knowing Luke Kornet was going to be out. 80 points in the paint, Casey, that's going to hurt you every time. The Spurs did hit 15 threes, but we're talking about that third quarter, and the rotations defensively were pretty bad. I mean, bad. Let's go from the beginning on this. You and I always get the injury reports, and we see who's going to be in, who's going to be out, things like that. And one of our other co-hosts, Jeff, we were talking about this on the Squad Show the other night. And Cleveland was right there for the taking. And the Spurs started out that way, and everything started out great. Third quarter, again, has been a problem all year. Cleveland capitalized on it. Casey, in our notes, 14 straight shots they made after missing their first field goal, correct?
Yep.
And that's where it went downhill from there.
Yep.
Spurs could never – you don't want to fight uphill battles like you do when other teams going like that. But that's what the Spurs were in, and just, gave up 44 points in the third. That is – You'll never win a game like that. So just one of those cold nights in Cleveland that they had to deal with.
Cold night in Cleveland it was indeed. That 14 straight field goals unanswered that came. There was really no let up because DeAndre Hunter missed the first shot of the third quarter. And then, like you said, 14 unanswered. Spurs had no answer for it. Cleveland does what they does, and they did what they did. They do what they do. And This is one of those teams, as we know, that when they get going, when they catch fire, they can, even when they don't have their guys. I mean, Darius Garland has missed the majority of the season with that foot situation. Kenny Atkinson's got these guys when they're geared in, they're locked in. And they kind of look like a team tonight, Cleveland did, a veteran team that when things are going bad, those type of teams, they come up, they show up, and they beat good teams to get back on track. And that was kind of a product of what was tonight. The Cavs were in a situation where they needed some sort of response. They've been getting a lot of criticism. Evan Mobley's been getting crushed up there in Cleveland. But that's not the Spurs' problems to worry about. The Spurs are trying to figure out how to obviously navigate their own situation. But the thing that stuck out to me a little bit was the cautionary aspect of the fact that it's just become, I don't want to say commonplace, but it's become a very frequent thing seeing these third quarters happen out of the halftime break. And you wonder how much of it is a Mitch thing, how much of it is a players not having it registered type thing. But it's strange because they dig themselves in these third quarter holes. They either blow leads or further lead, whatever it is, they have trouble in these thirds. But a lot of the times they dig themselves back out of it come the fourth quarter.
Right.
Which to me, I don't have any rhyme or reason of that. Do you have any kind of rhyme or reason how things can be so dramatic there between the third and the fourth being, collapsing so dramatically on one side and then in the fourth quarter figuring things out for the better?
Well, when you have the early success that San Antonio has had, you feel like you can, and it's just not one person, right? It's not on one person, it's on all of them. You feel like you can turn that switch on and off. One of the things that made Pop so great at what he had is with the relationship between him and the players were when he would see that, he would highlight that in film session. And he's like, you guys are not that good. It didn't matter if we had won 6 in a row, 7 in a row, whatever. You guys are not that good where you can continue to do like this. So as players, we talked about it and we had to fix it. That was whatever it is, that you were doing at halftime. Hey, change it. If we got to go out there and, Pop would do it. If you got to go out there a little bit earlier to, get some sprints, whatever it is that you have to do, we got to figure this thing out. That's where I feel they are with this. Like now it's really becoming a problem. All right. Because with everything being so tight right now, standings wise in the West, and right now San Antonio's fifth, meaning first round would be Denver. Now I know we're way early, Casey. I'm sorry, but I had to mention this.
No, listen, we're going to be doing this all season,
all year. Yeah, so
all year.
You don't want that first round. After get on to a good start and kind of treading water until Wemby and Castle come back, things like that. You don't want to have to go into Denver. That first round. So the Spurs are going to figure it out. They pay a lot of people to try and figure these things out. And Casey, hopefully by the All-Star break, they'll have this thing ready to go.
And let's talk about one of the guys who eventually will figure things out, or we're firmly of the belief of, with Dylan Harper. Ironically enough, with his dad sitting front row tonight, front and center, he puts up his worst line as a pro with 3 points, 4 boards, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 of 11 from the field. It's a rookie moment. We knew he wasn't going to go out there and continue to do what he's doing. I don't want to call it a full wall. He hit more of a figurative short-term wall, I guess you could say tonight.
Right.
But what in your mind is the type of thing that when as a rookie, a polarizing one that he is, when you have a dud like this with your dad in attendance against a good team, how do you bounce back from that?
Well, think about think about this. Like, for me, one of my first years, I'm playing at home, here in San Antonio. So, some of the things, that and obviously we had a heck of a basketball team at that point. And every now and again, I'd go walking through the tunnel and somebody's like, Pop needs to play you more. And I'm like, don't say that where he hears you. Because usually that was my dad. I'm just kidding. But so the thing about that is, yes, he had a tough game with his dad sitting, courtside. But at the same time, Dad's been keeping an eye on him all year, and he's been doing really fantastic. So this is just a minor little thing. He'll bounce back because that's what type of player he is. But yeah, I've given, tickets to family members that have been, front row as well. And yeah, you have a tough one. But at the end of the day, his dad loves everything that he's doing. And like I said, he'll bounce back.
Do you think things looked a little clunky there in that second half? And we talk about the Fox Harper aspect of figuring it all out, getting it to mesh. From watching that, there was a lot of ISO, a lot of dribbling, as you like to say, a lot of stagnation. In your mind, do you think that was more Cleveland clamping down, or Spurs just getting a little complacent with what they've been doing?
Casey, you're touching my heart right now because I feel like you had one eye on the Spurs and one eye on the hoplites. We were dribbling a little bit too much to my liking tonight as well. But that's their game. When they're doing it good, it looks good. You get in a situation like this where the other team makes a run, especially the home team, and you're on the road. Now it looks a little disturbed. Then you got Mitch over there, with his antics and things like that. So my whole thing is this. You already know how they play. We all know that. And listen, I would love to see not only Mitch, any coach, try and tell those two to change the way they play. Like at this point, no. Now, the only thing you can try and do is encourage these guys to move the ball more. And they do. I'm telling you, they were a shot or two from being right in it, cutting it to 12, cutting it to 10. Keldon almost broke his tailbone, after that block shot. And that was the time when they came down. It was that possession, a possession after that, where they could have got back in that ball game. They just didn't hit a shot.
Yeah.
So, and then I don't really want to go too much in on Fox and Harper about that, because when the Spurs are successful, they're getting into the lane.
Right.
Whether it's off one dribble, 2, 3, whatever it is. And just a night like tonight, you know what I mean, Casey? Like I know, normally I'm more like, hey man, but nah, it was just the second half was just terrible. It was just terrible.
Right. Cold night in Cleveland. It's just kind of what you chalk it up as.
You ever been to their mall? You ever been to their mall that's right there by the arena?
No, I haven't. I've actually never been to Cleveland. That looks like a story that you have, but you should probably hit the pause button on that, because I have to talk about our sponsors here in a minute.
Yeah,
and I know when the wheels turn. Good one on deck. So hit that until the Cavaliers come back to town in a few months. Thank you. Appreciate that. When we open up Devin's mic again on the other side of the break, it's something that a lot of people are talking about, the Giannis Antetokounmpo thing. Development today, a report that came about by Jake Fischer, suggesting that the Spurs are going to hit pause if anyone comes calling Milwaukee about Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper and any potential deal. Whether that or not that's the correct move or not, we'll talk about that on the other side of the break on the Spurs postcast right here on Locked On Spurs, following a 130-117 defeat tonight to the Cleveland Cavaliers. But before we do that, let's talk about some of our friends who drive the program. Might need some sympathy eating tonight with DoorDash. Good thing, because they found the perfect way to keep their fans in the bag all season long. Whether you're watching for highlights, fantasy, your favorite player, hate watching some people do, DoorDash makes every game night even better. It's the official on-demand platform of the NBA, and now they're celebrating with something they call the bag drop. Every time a player scores 50 in a game, DoorDash is going to drop 50% off your order with Dash Pass the very next day, and you're automatically entered to win an ultimate fan bag that's got all the stuff you actually want, all the gear you actually want. It doesn't matter who it is. Any player. Next time someone puts up 50 on the board, use the promo code NBA50 the very next day to get 50% off on DoorDash with Dash Pass. Plus your shot at the bag drop for the Dash Pass members, only 50% off, up to $10 the day of the game with the promo code. As always, terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash, as we know, in your bag all season long. And while you're doing that, enjoying the DoorDash, you probably doing that on Sundays when you're watching NFL Sundays. And one big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting in real time. You can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight. Live betting, as we know, best when the game starts to shift a little bit. Receiver gets going, defense locks down, momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump in on the moment. You can bet on next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked in every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com for your NFL live bets all season long with FanDuel. The games move fast, and so can you. Not the Spurs night tonight in Cleveland, going down convincingly 130 to 117 as we bring Devin Brown back into the equation. All right, my friend. So as I mentioned before the break, Jake Fischer has got a beat on the NBA, formerly of Yahoo Sports, is independently now and does a very good job, reports that the Spurs are making Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper untouchable in any potential Giannis Antetokounmpo deal. That's to be determined, as we know. What we speculate or kind of continue to speculate about is how, if the Spurs are actually interested, how much will they have to give to get if they're actually interested? And I think what we've learned so far, and I'm not particularly surprised because I feel like this is just kind of, the found business as its core, is that they're not going to show face. But what's kind of your initial reaction when I say that they're viewing the two of them right now as untouchable?
This is just the front office. They're not going to roll down for Milwaukee. We still are San Antonio Spurs, right? So it's the first part of negotiations now. Will we know all the talks, that are behind the scenes? Well, no, but they're discussing it because this is Giannis, right? So, oh, Casey, Castle, I understand 100%. All right, Harper with a pick and maybe another player. Not sure. Not sure there. But it's very interesting. I see this report, and like I said, this is just the first round of negotiations, Casey.
Right.
I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, did they do this because they're trying to keep OKC at bay?
Perhaps.
But this is just a part of what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I've kind of been leaning towards Harper as the more valuable of the two, because I think he has one more year on that rookie contract. So that's one less year you have to worry about the apron monster, though. If you're rebuilding a team, you're probably not worried about that anyways, because you're starting from the foundation. I saw something today on Twitter, and it prompted a thought, and it gave me an idea to pitch to you. Is that, do you think they want to see a scenario first with how Fox, Wemby, Harper, Castle, how the four of them work all together collectively as one before they do pull the trigger potentially on anything? Because I see the report that Castle and Harper are untouchable, and I don't rule it out. If it gets into a bidding war and the Spurs are in it and they have a real shot, I think they would make the move. One. I don't think they trade both, but I think they would get into the conversation because they know they could do it. But back to the prior point, do you think that there's a world where they're waiting to see that? Because I think it's an interesting thought, but given how quick things move, I don't know if they're going to have even time to do that.
Right. Yeah. So I told you always, San Antonio's not going to attack you one way, two ways, three ways. They're going to come at you with all these different angles. So that may be a possibility, right? That's one of the scenarios that they're working on too. And, these last few games with the guys playing as well as they are, it's buying time for Wemby to get to 100%, obviously. Or, and this is new, Casey.
Okay, go for it.
Is Wemby kind of holding out until San Antonio does something? Just something to think
I was going to
about.
say he's going to be holding for a while.
Well, it's
Yeah.
something to think about because, you know, I can't imagine that young man being the competitor that he is, like wanting to miss all these games. You know, we're not even going to talk about the money that's out there, you know, for him, things like that he's kind of like, you know, doesn't seem really too concerned about him. Or, you know, and it's like I said, maybe he really is, you know, having some pain or difficulties or whatever. So the point is that San Antonio is going to really look at this thing. They really like what they have as far as the stuff that they can bring to the table. But like you and I talked about off camera, Milwaukee can't get crazy in what it is that they're asking for.
Tell you what, I saw Devin Vassell in that first half, and every three that went in, I was like, oh, there's a first rounder saved. Oh, those are first rounders saved. You know, sell high on this guy. No wonder they're, you know, Devin Vassell's helping the cause right here, being like, okay, yeah, I'm worth it.
Casey, I'm sure that front office was like.
At the end of the day, though, they're not like that because they ultimately go down tonight in Cleveland, 130-117 in the middle of this 4-game road trip. Before we get out of here, got to show love to our player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Spida Mitchell being let's try that again. Spida Mitchell being Spida Mitchell tonight.
Yeah, doing what he did. For me, it was quiet. But that's what superstars do. You know, you look up, he's got 28. He does a great job of getting everybody involved. But at the end of the day, I mean, you know, the Spurs threw 3-4 different guys at him, but he is who he is. He's a superstar, and he played well tonight, and congratulations.
Yeah, he had 28, like you said, one of 6 Cavs in double figures, all 5 starters in double figures tonight. Not the Spurs night going down on the road in very chilly Cleveland, Ohio, where they got snow on the ground. They'll be back in New Orleans, though, this weekend. No, back on Monday, I should say. We got the weekend off. I don't know what we're going to do. We have the whole weekend off. Back in NOLA on Monday. A Pelicans team can't get out of their own way. That's a 7 o'clock tip. And as always, we'll be there on the back end here for you with the Spurs postcast right here on Locked On Spurs. And as we do every episode, show love to the everydayers that make all this stuff fun, all this stuff possible, and are the reason the Locked On Podcast Network is the #1 sports podcast network in the world right now. And that's because of the individuals like yourself hanging out with us every night on a Friday night, every night, and make this job a whole lot of fun. Not fun for the Spurs tonight. They go down 130-117 on the road. They fall to 15-7 on the season. Again, back in New Orleans on Monday. So for my good buddy, Mr. NBA champion Devin Brown, the head coach of the Hoplites, my name's Casey Viera. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night, and we'll talk to you on Monday.